So hey y'all, I'm back with another video. So tonight's video is yet again another Chioma Chats video on camera edition. I know y'all are like, girl, where have you been? I think I started every last video like, Chioma, where have you been? But I just need a break from YouTube, social media. Like, it gets draining. I'm actually want to shout out to all the commentators and all the content creators that like do this on a daily and always pushing out content, because I've gotten to the point where it just doesn't please me to do that. I have to like force myself, and when it became like it wasn't that fun, I'm like, okay, you need to take a step back and remember why you like to do this. And really it's because of the conversation, the impact, as well as the people who support me. So thank you to everybody who tunes in, who's been waiting, who's been texting or emailing or tweeting or whatever. Like, girl, we miss you. I'm back. Okay, so I have missed a lot, so we're gonna talk about a lot today, a little bit more. You know, y'all are getting like a little bit of extra spice, a little extra Chioma spice in your tea today. So I'm gonna cover a lot of topics. Let's get into this. So we're gonna be doing a compilation video, but instead of just doing my 3 normal topics, I'll have some extra commentary on some things that have been trending. On the docket tonight, we have Diddy and his new lawsuit. I feel like this is just an everlasting story that's just gonna keep going. Like, I'm not surprised by anything I'm hearing, but it's just crazy that like more and more stuff is coming out. Next up, we have the story about Ruby Rose and her weird obsessed stalker fan from her OnlyFans account. And I do think it's actually more of a cautionary tale than the way it's been presented. And then lastly, we have Zeus Network promoting colorism. Not really a shocker, but definitely something to talk about. So y'all know what to do. Comment on everything we're going to talk about. And without further ado, let's get right into this video. So straight out the gate, we're going to start with Zeus Network because they need to be dragged. This network is so controversial that I find it very, not really surprising because of the climate that we live in 2023, but also still surprising that they're able to get away with the things that they have done. I think Zeus Network is kind of like one of those never would have guessed it type of things. Like, you never would have guessed that it would be this big. You never would have guessed that it would be this successful. You never would have guessed that people would be this tuned in and this mesmerized by their whole entire brand. And I will give them the credit to say that they have really grown as a Black-owned business into what they are now. And of course, you wouldn't give like praises for that, but I think their success comes at the expense of so many other things that people like to negate. And that's why things that actually trigger the community can kind of happen and have been happening. So what recently took place is that Zeus Network is now promoting colorism. There's an event between Zeus Network and Wild 'N Out, which is put on by Nick Cannon, everybody's favorite overpopulator, the one who has a Noah's Ark full of children. And they are now promoting this like versus event. I don't know if it's like a boxing event or whatever, but the promotion for it came out and it literally said light skin versus dark skin. Now, I initially thought this was a joke. I'm like, there's no way that somebody put this out. This has to be like maybe somebody trolling, somebody put it out there for like fanfare. But no, it was real, and Zeus Network definitely took it off of their social medias, and rightfully so, because why do we continue to use colorism and featureism and all of these different isms that trigger Black people, the Black community, and just people of color in general? Why do we continue to use these things to trigger the community and cause greater division? Like, I feel like in 2023 especially, and we're about to be in 2024, there have been way too many conversations about things like colorism and why these conversations need to be had, and also the indelible marks it's left on Black people everywhere. But for some reason, people who have big names in entertainment feel like either they do not apply or that they can use these things to push an agenda. And it makes me really think, what is really going on in the entertainment world? We're hearing all these things about these big moguls in music and entertainment, and Zeus Network falls under entertainment. I mean, I'm sure their headquarters is out there in LA, somewhere in Hollywood, and it's really started to raise my eyebrows, especially this year, as to the things that are really happening behind the scenes. Who is controlling this? I think honestly the movie They Clone Tyrone really opened my eyes a little bit more. Like, I'm somebody who's pretty awake and aware, but it really made me think, is there some type of entity that is controlling all of these narratives that are making entertainment, especially in the realm of Black people, what it is? Because you look at what's popular in hip-hop, you look at what's popular in just the Black realm of entertainment, and it's not really anything positive, and it's the same stereotypical things that are actually hindering the community versus promoting something a lot more positive. Now, I'll be real, does entertainment have to be full-blown positive, rainbows, cupcakes, and prayers? No. I mean, everybody has guilty pleasures as to why they tune into Zeus every week, such as myself, or why they used to watch Love and Hip Hop or whatever it may be. But the problem is the oversaturation of the same exact stereotypes and ordeals ideals really being carried out through Black women now more than ever, it's really starting to reach a level of what is really going on. But let's look into the situation a little bit more. So the post on the Melanin Shade Room says, social media reacts to the dark skin versus light skin show presented by Nick Cannon in collaboration with the Zeus Network. Now, when I initially saw the flyer, I really could not make out the people who were on the light skin side. I'm like, who are these people? I'm like, I have not seen them. But then I realized, okay, maybe they are like Wild 'N Out girls. I don't really watch Wild 'N Out like that anymore, so it just was like a surprise to me. But when I saw like the bad versus wild and how it's like baddies, like, you know, baddies east and all of that versus the Wild 'N Out, and it's like two different sides, the first thing I noticed before I even like really go deep into like the colorism aspect is that the baddies who are portrayed as the more volatile, violent, you know, ghetto, that aspect of them having a negative connotation, you know, they're on the dark skin side. You see Suki Hana, you see Ann Moore, you also see Kat, who is my girl from Philly, shout out her, and you see Suki Hana's friend, I don't remember her name, but these were like the more rah-rah girls. And then on the light skin side, which are the Wild 'N Out girls, I'm not really sure of everybody's background, like I said, but I do understand that the Wild 'N Out girls are supposed to be like, you know, pretty, they're just eye candy, they're just there to look cute and assist with the show. So that initially stood out to me because, again, I didn't recognize most of the girls on the light skin side. I was like, who and what and why? And then I'm like, okay, when you really break it down, they're trying to make it seem as though the baddies, who are the girls who are more rough around the edges per se, just based off of the show's connotation, are, I guess, worse than the light skin side, which are the Wild 'N Out girls. Now, I do see that Low London, who is my fake twin, I always say that we have similar features. I used to think that we look alike, but somebody on here was like, girl, you don't look like Low London. And I'm just like, okay. Y'all be trying to come for me like, damn. I saw that she's on the light skin side, which, I mean, I think she actually is pretty fair skinned, but I see that they definitely lightened her picture. They increased the brightness, the vibrance, and the exposure in that ISO and put her on the light skin side. And somebody also called it out on Twitter. And when I saw that, I was like, okay, so I'm not the only person who noticed this. So I do think part of the marketing that they put out was to show that one side is more dark and gutta than the other side of these dainty, pretty Wild 'N Out girls. Now, like I said, I do think there's a mix up of all different types of girls that are in this. Of course, we have one girl from Baddies that's on the light skin side, but this is super duper weird. And I'm side-eyeing everybody who decided to sign on. Like I said, initially, I thought it was like maybe just a fan made it, or it was like somebody was trolling. So I just assumed that none of the people in the flyer really knew that their picture or their likeness was going to be used for an event. But when I saw that Zeus actually posted this on their page, and of course have deleted it by now, I was like, wow. So this had to go through a multiple chains of people for them to approve this and people to sign on for you guys to promote this event. Like, that's very horrible. Now, getting into the colorism, obviously this is wrong. Like, I've done so many different videos on colorism and the commentary, the history, how it affects women especially, and I think it does touch everyone, but women in particular. Colorism for Black women in particular just has a different journey. You know, if you're somebody who's just on the darker end, you just know that you've had to walk a different type of life in regards to your skin shade, how you're perceived, the connotations, the stereotypes that come along with what you look like, just because of a skin tone, something that you cannot change. This event is actually supposed to be happening today, so I'm not sure if it even happened or what. It did say December 7th. I'm recording this on a Thursday, and you guys will see this the next day. Let's get into some of the things that people said online. So somebody said, dark skin versus light skin, Zeus and Nick Cannon is pushing the Black community backwards. And I agree. I mean, this is just so repulsive. When you think about all of the conversations and just the things that people have talked about in regards to colorism, it doesn't make any sense as to why people are even still putting two different skin shades of people against each other. Come on now. Someone said Nick Cannon should have known that light skin versus dark skin is something most of us want to get rid of. That ish is a slave master and slave mentality. Putting Black women against Black women because of the difference in melanin is such a dumb idea. And I agree. And I don't even know if all of the women that are being featured on this are even light skin per se, or are they biracial. When I determine somebody is light skin, I'm usually referring to a light skinned Black person. I know that the word light skin is kind of, in my opinion, and don't take offense, has been hijacked by biracial people. I'm gonna be real, but I don't think it's the biracial girls that have hijacked it for themselves. I think it's Black men, honestly, that have put that light skin, red bone onto like biracial women who a lot of people in the Black community like to consider as Black. Now, me, I think if you come from two different races, you should be able to just strongly represent that you are Black and white. You shouldn't have to pick a side, which is why I consider biracial people biracial and not Black. Someone else said, this is disgusting. Nick Cannon is not conscious if he is hosting a mess like this. Light skin versus versus dark skin? Yes, let's talk about the internal racism among people of color. And I do think internalized racism is what is keeping a lot of these conversations going. You know, people are so indoctrinated by colorism that sometimes it's like they don't even realize that they are indoctrinated by it. And I see that a lot with people, just from the different types of denominations of people when they try to consider somebody as light skin who isn't, or dark skin who isn't, or whatever, as well as the way how we still tie these very disgusting and outdated stereotypes to people's skin tone. Another person said, is Nick Cannon's dark skin versus light skin a dating show to find his next baby mama? Questions that need to be asked, because what is he on, like number 8, 9, 10? Who even knows? And there was also somebody that commented in the comment section on the Melanin Shade Room, and this girl said, the entire network is based and capitalizing off Black ignorance. Why do folks keep clutching their pearls when they continue to show us who they are and what they are about? People still will subscribe and tune into the shows. It's like Krishan and Blue, folks keep rooting for Chris even though she shows us who she is. Black media will still report on the shenanigans. So, and I think that we have to be realistic. You know, all of that is very much true, but like I said earlier, you can have that guilty pleasure of entertainment that isn't so positive, that maybe does show the authentic negatives of the Black community or people of color or whatever. However, we have no balance, and that's the problem with entertainment these days as it relates to Black people. There's no balance of the good and the bad, the ugly and the pretty, the hardship and the bad history versus, you know, the progressive efforts that people are putting in for a better future. There's no balance of that. It's like most of the stuff that we put out there and we monetize and capitalize off of are all negative things, and to make matters worse, a lot of them are just very much stereotypes. And I think it was very tone deaf and very, like, just honestly stupid for Zeus, Nick Cannon, and whoever else is involved to co-sign this and put it out there. I feel like they knew they would get backlash, and I think that outrage sells, so that's why they did this. There's no way in 2023 that you're gonna convince me that someone would use colorism to promote an event. I just feel like there's been way too much knowledge about the topic for people to be that stupid. Zeus Network, you know, I'm glad I used my friend's account to watch the shows. I don't pay for it. And Nick Cannon, I've been off you. Both very, very dumb, very, very tone deaf. And I think it was just a poor business decision. And it's very sad that no matter what, no matter how many conversations we have about this, people still don't learn. The Black community, yes, we are up against so many different deficits, whether it's the history or the current ramifications for things that our oppressors have done. But I feel like oftentimes we forget that a lot of times the biggest backlash that we get comes from the things that we do to one another. So I hope that Zeus Network got the backlash and Nick Cannon got the backlash that they rightfully deserve, and they learn from it and do better. I mean, I don't expect much from Nick Cannon or Zeus Network because of the way how they operate. I mean, their precedents are very clear as to how they work. So I don't expect much, but I do think the backlash was well deserved, and y'all are dumb for posting this. Next case. Next up, we have the story about Rubi Rose and her stalker slash weird OnlyFans fan. So Rubi Rose is a rapper, but she's also like an Instagram personality, and she also has an OnlyFans. And who remembers? I want to see if anybody remembers. A few years ago, I made a compilation video, and Rubi Rose is one of my stories, and I think she had just launched her OnlyFans, and I was confused because I thought she was a rapper, and then when she launched the OnlyFans, I'm like, huh? Like, whoa, what are you doing? And then I made a comment, and I said that if she continues to do this, she's gonna be seen as no more than a cum bucket. And that rubbed people so bad. And honestly, I don't take it back because I feel as though, yes, my delivery was harsh and that was a little too mean. I will say that. However, I don't think what I said was wrong. Her representation now has gone from rapper or upcoming rapper that she was back then to, I think Rubi Rose is more of just like a sex symbol. She's a pretty girl, great body, nice smile, great proportions, and everybody loves her look. And I think because her look is so in favor and so in trend that she more or less capitalizes off of what she looks like and her perception, especially her sexual perception, to her audiences versus anything else. And I knew that when she started in OnlyFans, that was gonna be what kind of consumed a lot of her public personality, because let's be real, people are gonna focus more on sexualized content versus whatever talent you have in anything else. I mean, that's just like the recipe to be successful as a woman in, you know, newer times. So Rubi Rose posted a tweet and she said, "Tap my face on you so I know it's real," where a fan got her face tatted on what I believe is his leg. And then she posted it along along with a screen recording of screenshots of this fan texting her phone, basically going in. Now, the messages are way too long. There's no way I'm going to read all of that. But basically what's in the message is this fan feeling indebted to Ruby because I guess they met each other. So apparently she was at a hotel, he was at the hotel, they got to meet some way, somehow they took a picture. If you ask me, in the picture, she does not look comfortable. She doesn't look like she was, you know, genuinely enjoying the experience and the discourse that they were having. It looks like, hey, I'm just here to take this quick picture with this fan. And then he actually shows her, hey, I've spent just about $100,000 on your OnlyFans. And I was like, whoa. Not only are y'all getting to this bag on this OnlyFans, and that's for y'all, not for me. However, you spent 100 racks on Ruby Rose's OnlyFans. You, my guy, are delusional. I'm sorry, but there's nobody, and this is not an attack on Ruby Rose, this is in general, there's nobody that to me is worth that. But I can't tell you what to do with your money. If you want to drop 100 racks on somebody, hell, do it. I wish somebody would do it for me. No jealousy, just saying. And I found it very, very alarming that she was posting this as if it was a flex. She's basically saying, tap me, tap my face, my name, whatever, on your body, make it permanent, as well as drop all this money to prove that you're really a fan or you're really for me or whatever. And I feel like that sends a horrible message to not only young women, but just women in general. I think now more than ever, society has placed a lot of importance on the financial aspect of relationships, whether it's through parasocial relationships like this or just through romantic relationships or whatever. She's showing that, number one, money and this type of weird obsession means more to her than anything else. I mean, I don't think it's safe that your biggest fan on OnlyFans has some type of direct contact to you. I don't know why he has her number. I'm not sure if maybe he stalked it and found it out, or she gave it to him. I'm not sure, but I felt that that was a very, very scary and dangerous thing to post because it's showing how crazy, frantic, and very delusional, obsessed that this man is. And he really feels indebted to her. He feels as though that because he spent all this money and because that he's been such a fan of her, he tatted her and he met her, that he's deserving of her and she owes him something, when in reality, no, you spent the money. I mean, the transaction to me is already done. You spent the money, you got to see her little explicit photos or videos, and that's it. I really wasn't a fan for Ruby doing this because I felt like she promotes a lot of like social media type of like mindset. Like, I don't know how smart the girl is, but she does promote a lot of like, you gotta be a baddie and you gotta spend this money on me, and you know, I'm so above these people, and you know, these men are just for play. And I'm just like, okay, at a certain point, that rhetoric is, you know, gonna be a part of a lot of female rappers, and I get it, but at a certain point, you have to understand when to separate that. And this was a time to show, hey, there's some weird people out there who are truly obsessed with me, and this is the type of, you know, mail or text messages that I may receive from people, and it's not okay. Just because you spend money on my OnlyFans or you buy tickets to my concerts or you buy my merch does not mean I'm indebted to you, does not mean that I owe you any attention or anything more than the transaction that's already transpired. I just really wasn't a fan of the way how she presented this. I thought it was very dangerous, you know, for her fan base as well as for herself. I mean, it kind of seems like he has way too much, you know, personal information on her. And I think with a lot of the things that we've seen with, you know, the violence amongst women, especially in 2023, and definitely the misogynoir for Black women in particular, it just wasn't a good look. I knew there was something about Ruby Rose that I just never could rock with. And, you know, I got, ooh, the way how y'all came for me. I know who you are, and you know who you are. You watch me, you comment on a lot of my videos. You dragged me for that Ruby Rose comment like 2 or 3 years ago. It was like 2 or 3 years ago. You still watch me though, so I'll give it to you. But I got dragged for saying what I said, but I feel like the chickens have come to roost. Her perception is a certain way, and there's very scary, disgusting men who latch onto that, and now they feel that they can be very disgusting men, and that's what I'm seeing here. So I want to get on the fan too, because I think it's very delusional for someone to feel like they can do this. If I was Ruby, I would have reported this, because honestly, this is too far. You know, sometimes I look at my Instagram DMs, and there's certain fans that I do respond to, y'all. Sometimes we, you know, talk a lot on Instagram, and I don't really like follow everybody because I try to be like super private. I'm kind of like scary, not gonna lie. But there's a few of y'all that, you know, we talk here and there, and I see that you've been supporting me. Shout out to my girl Blue. I know that you got your real name, but I don't know if you want me to put it out here, but your Instagram name, I just say, hey, the girl's my girl Blue. There's certain people that you can tell they're being genuine, you know, fans, and there's certain people that they're being scary. And I see those too. I see the people that just hound me, and I'm like, okay, I don't want nothing to do with that. So for Ruby Rose to promote this as if this is some type of flex, I can't give her points for that. This is actually a very dangerous situation, and I want her to be more careful with her platform. So our last story is about Diddy. Now, trigger warning, of course, because we're going to talk about sexual assault, violence amongst women, and so forth. As we all know, Diddy was recently sued by Cassie, his longtime girlfriend, for a $30 million lawsuit. Now, I don't know if she got that $30 million more or less. I would think it's more, but there's been a lot more stories that have come out after this, and it's very telling of the character that Diddy has, as well as everything having a lot of validity to it. So on the Shade Room, it says, new lawsuit accuses Diddy and 2 other men of sexually assaulting 17-year-old girl in 2003. Diddy denies allegations in new statement. So the caption reads, Diddy's name has been making headlines for the last 3 weeks, and another lawsuit involving the Bad Boys record head has hit the news. Another woman, the 4th person to accuse Diddy of sexual assault in the last month, has filed a lawsuit alleging that she was AR'd by Diddy and 2 other men in a recording studio in 2003. In the filing obtained by Rolling Stone, the then 17-year-old Jane Doe, she does not want to reveal her identity, alleges she was given copious amounts of drugs and alcohol before being taken across state lines 2 decades ago. The woman alleged she was out with a friend at a lounge in Detroit when she was approached by Diddy's longtime associate, Harv Pierre. Pierre allegedly told the woman that Diddy would love to meet her and invited her on an impromptu trip to New York on a private jet. The lawsuit alleges the private jet took the teen, Pierre, and another unidentified man to Teterboro Airport in New Jersey, where an SUV was waiting to transport them to Daddy's house recording studio. The teen alleges she was given drugs and alcohol, and things became a blur before Diddy allegedly took her into a bathroom, removed her skirt and underwear, and penetrated her from behind. The suit alleges Diddy and Harvey switched places, and Diddy watched from a chair as Harvey penetrated the woman. Diddy has released a new statement denying the allegations, saying that people are trying to destroy his reputation while looking for a payday. Now, when I saw this, I'm not gonna lie, I've been shocked by everything I've heard, but also not shocked. But this one really was shocking because now we're dealing with a minor. Now we're dealing with somebody who couldn't even consent, even if they wanted to. Now we're dealing with somebody who is so ashamed by this that she is not revealing her identity. Now we're dealing with somebody who is only coming forward because she has the strength from Cassie and the other lawsuits to do so. So Diddy then drops a statement and he says, enough is enough. For the last couple of weeks, I have sat silently and watched people try to assassinate my character, destroy my reputation and my legacy. Sickening allegations have been made against me by individuals looking for a quick payday. Let me be absolutely clear. I did not do any of the awful things being alleged. I will fight for my name, my family, and for the truth. Sean Diddy Combs.
Now shut your bitch ass up.
Now, I'm gonna just call it for what it is. Sounds like a load of malarkey to me. Like, I'm sorry, but that sounds like a lot of malarkey. Like, cut the malarkey, because that sounds like malarkey to me. The fact that Diddy settled so quickly with Cassie was already telling in its own. I mean, he has the money, the resources, the lawyers, and everything to fight all of these allegations, but there's a reason why he does not want to or did not in that circumstance, and it's because when you take all this evidence and the receipts to discovery and really go through this piece by piece, there's no way he's coming out with a win. And he knew that. So he did the thing that he had to do, which was settle. Now, as for the other 2 lawsuits that were filed, you know, I still would love to know what's going to happen with them. But, you know, as time comes along, we will see. But this one is different because, like I said, now we're talking about a minor. Now we're talking about somebody who could not consent. And, you know, there's a lot of people with this, you know, oh, why now? Why now? First, New York put out the legislature last year for adult victims of sexual assault or anything of that matter to, you know, tell their stories and get any last vindication of anything that's past the statute of limitations. So that's why now people are scared. When you're a victim, it takes years sometimes for people to process what happened to them. You know, you have to get over the phase of shaming yourself or victim blaming yourself or just even trying to piece together your life again after something that traumatic. I find it crazy that a lot of people who doubt these victims or at the very least question why now, like maybe they believe it, but it's like, why now? I find it crazy that people don't think about this stuff actually being abuse and being very traumatic in somebody's life. And the reason why, honestly, I feel like men sometimes say these things is because men aren't at the top of the ladder for the people who are being abused by other men. I'm not saying that men don't get abused by other men, but you guys aren't the main victims of this. So maybe you can't wrap your head around why a woman would end up in a situation like that and take 5, 10, 15, maybe even 20 plus years to come out with the story because you've never experienced that before. I'm not saying that men don't go through trauma, but I'm just saying, like, you don't understand that. So, you know, stay in your place, number one. But number two, have some empathy and understand how you get to this point as a victim. This lady probably would have took this to her grave if it wasn't for Cassie and these lawsuits. She didn't think that she had a time. She didn't think she would have the platform, the resources, let alone the security to even tell her story ever. It's been hush hush and silent for well over 20 years, and it took for other things to happen for her to finally tell her story. I find that to be beautiful and powerful. I mean, there's things I'm gonna take to my grave that I don't think I'll ever talk about. So when I see these victims having the strength, or these survivors, I should say, having the strength to put their story out there and get their due diligence, it's a powerful thing to me versus it being an attack on somebody's character. Diddy, your reputation has been spoiled long before any of these lawsuits. So to say, oh, someone's trying to come for my reputation, you don't have one at this point. The Cassie stuff was like the nail in the coffin for a lot of people. There's a lot of people coming out, turning their back on him. We have former security guards, we have former bodyguards, we have former people that just worked with him, who have been around him, songwriters. I even saw an interview with somebody from Wale's camp from years ago when Wale was working with Cassie, and the story about how Diddy came in there and dangled Wale over a balcony just for being close to Cassie. Like, your reputation already spoke for itself pretty privately. All this is just a public display of what you truly are. So it's either shut up and pay up. You know, that's all you can really do. Shut up, pay up, and repent for your sins. Hopefully, I want to see a jail sentence, but I don't think he's gonna go to jail. But with this one involving a minor, you just never know. I'm just happy that Cassie opened the door for everyone else to tell their story. And like I said in my previous video about this, I think there will be more to come. So that is it for pretty much all of the stories on the docket tonight, but I did want to touch on some things that were like kind of trending, just give like, you know, 30-60 second kind of comments on certain things, just because I haven't been on YouTube in a little while. So the next story that I just wanted to see was the story about Beyonce lightening or bleaching her skin. My initial opinion on this is that lady did not bleach her skin. Like, I think people just are looking for ways to kind of pick at every celebrity to see who they can try. I'm not necessarily mad at it, because I think that, you know, before maybe the last like year or two, the way how the public looked at celebrities was definitely they're better than, they're higher than, they're untouchable. But I think with social media, reality TV shows, and, you know, just other different factors, we've been able to kind of blur the lines between, you know, the uppities and the lowadies, I guess you can say. But I do think with this, people were trying Beyonce. Like, clearly the lady did not bleach her skin. I went and I looked at her pictures and I'm like, where are you guys getting this from? It was definitely the lighting, if you ask me. Her mama did clap back, which was rightfully so. I'm not gonna read everything she said, but she definitely came back and was just like, you know, it's frustrating to see that no matter what Beyonce does, she's always attacked for something. Now, I will say this conversation showing that celebrities are no better than you and I. They do the same things average regular people do, because for real, they are normal people, but they're just not in normal circumstances. I remember a few years ago, I talked about Beyonce getting a BBL because to me it was obvious. And that to me just shows that, you know, even Beyonce of all people may have an insecurity with her body, or even if she's not insecure, she does have it within her to want to keep up with what is trending, what is, you know, popular, what people are doing. So just because she's hush hush and quiet doesn't mean that she doesn't read what's on the internet or follow the same trends. And I think it's very important to see that transparency. In this case, I definitely don't think Beyonce bleached her skin. That was a reach and people knew that. The next story is Kodak Black getting arrested. This one actually didn't come by surprise, because I think a lot of people have been seeing that there's been an issue with Kodak Black over the last like year or so. I mean, there's been a lot of issues over his career, but even recently, you know, he wasn't looking the same when he did his Drink Champs interview. It was definitely giving like he was on something. And so for him to get arrested for drugs and possession, it kind of just confirmed what people were already speculating. So according to the Shade Room, it says, according to WSVN, Kodak Black was arrested on Wednesday on charges of possession of cocaine and tampering with physical evidence. He's set to go before a judge this afternoon. We'll keep y'all updated as the story develops. When it said tampering with evidence, I was like, what was you tampering with? And then it said that he actually tried to swallow all the cocaine when the police approached him. And I'm like, I definitely think Kodak Black just has a problem right now. He needs therapy and rehab more than anything else. I don't know if jail will do anything, but hey, buddy, you did break the law. And I think his appearance showed it, and he didn't want to admit it at the time. But hopefully this is a wake-up call that he needs to get it together, because regardless about how, you know, hip-hop is in the moment on the male and female side, I do think Kodak Black is actually a very good rapper. You can tell he's lyrically talented. When he first became super big, I was a freshman in college, so I kind of just latched onto him at that time. Music is so huge when you're in college because of the parties and kickbacks. So you just, you know, whoever's popping during your freshman year is like who you kind of rock with. So I really do like his music, even though, you know, he says his wild things. So I do think he needs a lot of help and therapy, resources, rehab. He needs to get it together, because we definitely do not want another casualty from another rapper. So that is it for this video. I hope you all enjoyed. Please let me know your commentary on my commentary down below. below. What do you think? What do you know? Let me know. If you haven't already, make sure you stream my new song, Rich Auntie. It is out on all platforms everywhere, and I will have the video pinned in the comment section down below. And last but not least, don't forget to follow me on all of my social media networks, and I will see y'all in my next video. Bye, y'all.
Going big like I'm from Texas. Life is being blessed in exes. Made that boy make me his bench press. Now he breathless. Green, white, green when I be reppin'. Nardo wicked when we steppin'. Jerky niggas I'm rejecting. Make me teach your ass a lesson. I'ma call him when I need some money. I ain't tryna wait. Mansion in the motherland, bitch. Leave it by the gate. My brother counting money up. My sis driving the getaway. It's Queen Chioma trigger, cause you know I make it ricochet. Told y'all it's a ceremony. Every day a cabaret. Get out my way, I'm out the way. They say I'm out the ordinary. All my favorite cousins up, they round the way and on the way. Had to come to auntie house, cause last time I did 20 carats. I'ma call him when I need some money, I ain't tryna wait. Mansion in the motherland, bitch, leave it by the gate. Call my favorite cousins up, they round the way and on the way. Had to come to auntie house, cause last time I did 20K, yo. Chama, they don't know who they messing with. I be where the blessings is, my pockets never deficit. You can't touch all this excellence, you gon' need a prerequisite. You gon' need some relevance, so cut it OT Genesis. Pat in the mail from my boys in Abuja. Thick, meaty, spicy, juicy, baby, call me Suya. I said 24/7 we stacking, racking. I'm a bad bitch, you fraction, lacking. Counting bread while he playing Madden. I'm in the building.